Everybody had something to say over the weekend because of the huddle with Caitlin, Stephanie White. We've got Twitter just going out. Everybody's losing their mind. You were there. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just
There are certain moments in sports that need no explanation. They tell the entire story on their own, awkward, undeniable, and impossible to erase. These moments unfold under the bright lights, in front of packed crowds, and with millions watching online. Once they happen, there is no taking them back. Fans of the Indiana Fever recently witnessed one of those unforgettable scenes, and ever since it occurred, the debate surrounding it has only continued to grow.
they were trying to pick on Caitlin a little bit on defensive end. She was getting called for some fouls that, fouls aren't fun. She got in some foul trouble. Our team got into some foul trouble, and that's just all it was. I think that's part of the game. There's frustrations that rise, and decisions have to be made. And ultimately, this wasn't something that carried on. This is in the moment, something that happened, and not something that is talked about now in our locker room, talked about even later on in the game. That's just something that happened. And unfortunately, Caitlin's got a camera on her 24/7. And so you see every little thing, but this happens almost every day in women's basketball. So not something that we're worried about at all.
What many people are overlooking amid all the commotion is something far more important. While social media was breaking down every second of that sideline interaction, while commentators and analysts shared their opinions, and while former stars publicly chose their sides, one person remained steady and unwavering. She stayed exactly where she has always been, supporting Caitlin Clark. That person is Lexi Hull.
Stephanie White is an abomination. An absolute abomination. We were sold a false bill of goods. We were sold hope, and in return we got nope. Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark seen yelling back and forth at each other on the bench. Stephanie White doesn't seem to realize it's not Caitlin Clark's defense as much as it is her terrible schemes defensively. Her inability to adjust defensively. Her inability to adjust.
Lexi Hull has never been the player seeking the spotlight. She is not someone who grabs headlines with bold statements or goes out of her way to create viral moments. That has never been her style. Instead, she has built her reputation on consistency, loyalty, and being a dependable teammate. Ever since she and Caitlin Clark became teammates, Hull has remained a constant source of support. She does not need cameras, attention, or public recognition to stand by someone she values. She does it because it is part of who she is. And during a time when Caitlin Clark is facing intense scrutiny and nonstop discussion from every direction, having someone as trustworthy and grounded as Lexi Hull in her corner may matter more than ever.
So right now, Stephanie is pointing at Caitlin. She's looking right at her, so she has to be talking about her. And if you look at her mouth, like she says defense, right? And Caitlin Clark, she looked like she's saying, I'm putting my hand up, and they're still calling the foul. That's what it looked like. Stephanie White didn't like that. She pointed at Raven and said, hey, man, you get in here. Damn.
Clark rose from her seat, visibly frustrated, and for a moment appeared ready to step away from the huddle altogether. But she quickly regained her composure. As a professional, she understood the consequences such a reaction could create. Had she walked away in that moment, the incident likely would have dominated headlines and conversations for days, if not weeks. Instead, she remained with the team, took her seat, and kept her emotions under control. Even so, the cameras were rolling, and every expression, gesture, and reaction was captured and shared across the internet almost instantly.
It's just, there's frustration. I think we noticed they were trying to pick on Caitlin a little bit on defensive end.
It is not a typical Fever rotation. Stephanie White be so upset about the pull Caitlin out of the game. We need lip readers. No, it's clearly Caitlin, stop fouling. Caitlin, I'm putting my hands up. I think everybody knows when that happened. Caitlin just picked up her fourth foul, and she's going to pull her from the game. And she's basically giving out about Caitlin fouling, and Caitlin's like, I have my hands up, I have my hands up. And then Stephanie White is just having none of it. And Caitlin Clark's pissed off because she knows she didn't foul, and she's clapping back at her coach. It's two people pissed off.
After the emotions of the moment had settled and reporters began looking for answers, Lexi Hull was one of the people willing to address the situation. She was not interested in fueling controversy or assigning blame. Instead, she made her position clear when it came to Caitlin Clark. What many people fail to recognize is that the connection between Hull and Clark goes far beyond being teammates on the same roster. Their relationship has been built on genuine trust, mutual respect, and a shared competitive mindset. From the moment Clark arrived, Hull was among the first players to fully welcome and support her. It was not about headlines, popularity, or the attention Clark brought to the organization. Hull respected Clark for who she was on and off the court. Over time, that respect developed into a meaningful friendship and partnership. Their bond became so evident that when Hull decided to continue her journey with the Indiana Fever, the announcement carried an added sense of significance. Clark publicly celebrated the news as well, highlighting the connection they had built. When you find someone you truly trust in a high-pressure environment, that relationship becomes valuable, and both players have shown just how much they appreciate having each other's support.
Lexi Hull just re-signed with the Fever today, ladies and gentlemen. A third of the Trace Lace is back. Half of the Blonde Bomber is back. Lexi with the defense. Lexi with the hustle. Lexi popping them threes. One of Clark's best friends. Let's go. See Fever again. Y'all just gotta relax and let the front office do their thing. So we got Clark. We got Mitchell, we got Boston, we got Lexi. The big four is locked in for 2026. Fever gang, let's go.
When Hull speaks about the situation involving Clark and Stephanie White, her perspective is not driven by controversy or a desire to add fuel to the discussion. It comes from a place of sincere support for someone she has consistently stood beside throughout their time together. Hull understands the immense expectations and scrutiny that Clark faces every day. She knows what it is like to share that locker room, work through those practices, and operate within a coach-player dynamic that is constantly analyzed by fans and media alike. More importantly, Hull's support has never depended on circumstances. It is not something that appears only during victories or when public opinion is favorable. She has remained a steady presence through difficult stretches, challenging losses, and moments when attention around the team has reached extraordinary levels. While the spotlight has intensified and conversations have grown louder, Hull has continued to stand firmly by Clark's side. That consistency has become a defining part of their relationship, and Clark undoubtedly recognizes the value of having someone she can rely on no matter what challenges arise.
From what you're seeing, what's happening in Indianapolis?
Right now, it's frustration, and unfortunately, it's boiling over, and it's being seen. It's one thing to have it behind, but when it spills over, and when the coach has to basically say, "Hey, you know what, Caitlin? Enough is enough. This is too disruptive."
Cheryl Miller, a Hall of Fame legend, saw the same moment and took a more critical view. In her opinion, Clark's reaction during the timeout crossed into disruptive territory, something coaches can't ignore, and Stephanie White's response was simply part of her job, setting a boundary in real time. Sue Bird, on the other hand, pushed back slightly against the growing narrative, framing it as a common player-coach frustration that happens in competitive environments and usually doesn't carry deeper meaning.